Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Success Challenge number 2. Is the second one we've done this year. I think we're gonna step to free. I think we're gonna try to go like every other month. We're getting locked in and teeing these up. But yeah, we're gonna be talking about unlocking your wealth. So we're gonna be talking about a whole lesson plan I got laid out for the whole week. So make sure everybody's tapped in for the whole week in regards to mindset. We're going to dive into that a little bit. We're going to talk about some of the wealth strategies. Like there's so much. And I think one of the challenges that we face is as a culture, we really have an emphasis on education and getting a formal education. And unfortunately, once we get that formal education, there's a lack of awareness or a lack of emphasis on self-development and self-education and being able to continue to grow. Especially, it's a skill set that is desperately needed right now with where we are with how everything is being revolutionized with technology. But we're going to dive in. We're going to be talking about how to unlock your wealth, cultivating success mindset, and overcoming limiting beliefs. And we're going to be walking through this together all through this week. And and so with that, let's get locked in. This is kind of what we're going to talk about tonight for is the goals, objectives, talk about kind of the pathways of financial independence. There are some pathways. There is a process to get there that's already been blazed by somebody else that's been taken to this point. Real estate's been around for centuries and centuries. Businesses have been around for centuries and centuries. And success leaves clues. And we're going to talk about those clues and the process to find success right now, today, 2024, with everything that we have going on. And how real estate plays a vital role in that, and how you can maximize your real estate advantages. Because guess what? We all have advantages, but a lot of times in potential, but we choose, for whatever reason, not to tap into them. So for those who don't know me, I'm Johnny Lynham, the military CEO, husband, father, author, lieutenant colonel, mentor, and I'm a huge advocate of financial literacy. April is Financial Literacy Month, and one of the big things that I'm an advocate about is just because I wasn't taught anything from school when you start talking about financial literacy. They didn't teach any of this stuff that I picked up after I had a 5-year degree going through engineering school, commissioned as an officer in the United States Air Force, that there was a lot that I didn't know about building wealth, about money, about how to build a legacy. And so that was one of the things that after I found out that, hey, there's a lot more to it, that I have this degree, but there's a whole nother world that I hadn't even begun to tap into. It was like, okay, it's on from here. And so from there, started investing in real estate to now where we're over a $14 million portfolio, over 120 units that we own, and continue to grow, continue to do more deals. About 16 months out from officially retiring from the world's greatest Air Force. And along the way, a year or so ago, I started diving into my passion of talking more about financial literacy, sharing my journey more, and being able to pour into people to help them become the best CEO of their last name. And so all those pictures just kind of represent the lives that I've been able to touch and continue to touch, as well as my family's lives there, because that is my why, my passion. And we'll talk about some of the reasons why you choose to do what you do, because I'm a true believer. Everybody that showed up here tonight and for this week that's tapped in, that there's something that you're missing out on. It's something that that you have potential to tap and take it to another level. And so that's the thing that we want to tap in tonight is starting that mindset, starting that belief system to let you know that, hey, that you can do this too, that you can be successful in your own right. And everything that you've done up until this point in your life has prepared you to go to that next level if you tap into it. And that's what we're all about tonight. So, yeah. And so that's the biggest thing that, I want, you don't have to write it down, but I want everybody to kind of think through why we're getting started. Why are you here today? Because for everybody, it's going to be individually different. Just like for everyone's wealth strategy, their strategy to diversify their portfolio, to increase their income, it's all going to be different. And so really think about it. Why are you here today? Maybe it's time freedom. Maybe it's a job that's stressing you out, that's causing anxiety, that's causing depression. Maybe it's, hey, I just want to be able to learn how to be a better steward of the assets that I already have. And if that's the case, then this is the place to be. Because a lot of times we don't know what we don't know. And so the more information you get, the better decisions that you can make. And now you are able to tap in and go to that next level, whether it's time freedom, whether it's freedom to spend with vacations with your family or whatever it may be. Understand that, hey, you have to understand why you're here and why it's important. Because guess what? Adversity is going to come and life is going to happen because life be lifing. Whether we're living on purpose and whether we're chasing our dreams or not, it's going to happen. So the thing is when you have those adversity come up, when you have those challenges that you face that were planned or unplanned, that guess what? You got to know why it is that you're here so you can continue to move forward and step into your greatness. Because guess what? That's what it's all about. So no secret, my goal is to help 1,000 people this year improve their lives and get after it. But we're going to start talking about the problem. I love to talk about the problem briefly up front because then we can focus most of our time on the solution. And that's what the ultimate goal is focusing in on that solution, where we are right now. As I alluded to with AI, with technology, like right now, we're in an extraordinary era of progress. Who knows what life is going to look like 5 years from now? I just look back at my kids. I look at my 5-year-old, how advanced they are compared to when I was 5 years old, my 11-year-old, when I was his age. Like the things they're able to do, they're exposed to, the capabilities and the skill sets that they already have is like, wow. So, who knows where we're going to be 5 years from now. But the thing is that we have to understand that technology has changed how we move and how we operate as an economy. But guess what? We have to continue to evolve. And if we're not evolving, if we're not changing, guess what? We're going to get left behind. And that's the last thing we want to see happen. Anybody, you can come off mute. Anybody know who this is right here? This young lady here?
That the lemonade stand girl?
Yeah, right on. Yeah, Michaela, awesome. Yep, so 11 years old and built an $11 million business. She started at 4 years old with her grandmother's recipe and just took it to the next level. And eventually she went on Shark Tank, got secured an investment from Damon Johns, and eventually went on, had a couple football players invest almost nearly $1 million in her business. And guess what? If an 11-year-old can raise $800,000 for a lemonade business, I'm pretty sure you can do whatever it is that you want to do in regards to building wealth, whether it's partnering on real estate deals, it's going through and managing your portfolio in order to increase the return on investment or whatever it is that you need to get done. I 100% believe that you all have the capability. If an 8-year-old can go out here and raise this type of money to sell lemonade, that whatever it is that you're looking to do, that you have the capability and you have the skill set to do it. And I did a little research this week on her. And so right now, I forgot if it was Forbes, but she's worth about $1 to $5 million right now. And she's, I think, 17 years old. And so I think her lemonade was bought out by Whole Foods. And so she's doing good. And so that's the thing that we got to realize is like we have to take action and we have to move out because guess what? It's so easy. Even a kid can do it. And so that's the motivation right here is to understand that there's a process to get there. We're going to go through some of the data. I love the data because guess what? People lie and guess what? Numbers don't. And if you look at the data today and you look at where we are right now as a nation, it's not in a good place. Right now, nearly half of all Americans, so we're talking about over 150 million Americans right now have no retirement savings at all. The top 5% of the wealthiest families hold 248 times as much wealth as the median. When you start digging into it, when looking at the numbers, that 45.5% have zero saved for retirement to the far left. And then you look at less than 10,000, 20%. So almost 70% right there have less than $10,000 saved for retirement. And so we're going in and we're talking about how to build wealth. We're talking about real estate, of course. Real estate was the asset vehicle choice for me that I leveraged. But there's multiple ways to create businesses based off your skill set on how you can increase your income. And when you look here to the right, when you look at the main reason why people don't have retirement savings, they don't make enough money to save, 45%. And right behind that, 24% say I'm struggling to pay my bills, your rent. So we got an income problem, 45 and 24. It's almost 69%. We have an income problem. If you can increase if you could think about it, most people, if you can increase your income $2,000-$3,000 a month, that would be a game changer. That would be a game changer. And so this is the thing that we're going through and the problem that we have to look at solve when we start talking about increasing income and investing. Because right now, 64% of people are living paycheck to paycheck. And it's not getting, prices aren't going down. Nothing's getting cheaper. I just went and bought a Gatorade. It was like $3.59 for a 20-ounce Gatorade. I'm like, man, I remember when these were like $1.45 when I used to go pick these up on Sunday, when I was a teenager. But the thing is, you look at prices across the board and where inflation is at, we have to learn how we can increase our income, or else we're going to continue to fall behind. And we see that most Americans in the greatest nation on the earth right now, most Americans are not living the American dream. They're falling further behind. And that's where we don't want to be. So right now, when you look at assets and wealth, before we start diving in, 50% of the bottom 50% of Americans, so that bottom 150, right now it says about 330 million people in America. So that bottom 150, 160 million people only own 2.6% of the assets in the United States. And when you look at it and dive in, there's a couple of reasons why. One, significant lack of knowledge about investing. They don't really teach investing in school. Many people remain uninformed for whatever reason. Once you get out of high school, most people aren't looking for more knowledge. They're just looking for their next job and they're moving forward. And a lot of people, they just stay there. They get complacent. They get comfortable. And then just an overall lack of understanding. When you don't have the education, most people don't understand about investing. I had no clue about the stock market, how the real estate market worked when I came out of college. And until it was the most humbling thing that I had to have a family member to sign my lease for my apartment building because my credit was screwed up because I didn't know I needed to be paying my bills on time and doing that. And so it was just a lack of education. But once I figured it out, I got it together and I got presented with the opportunity to buy my first property in 2006. And the rest is history. And, so that's the thing that we have to figure out and why I'm so passionate about it, because they don't teach you this stuff in school. They teach us everything else that we don't need. The periodic table with everything that's on there for chemistry. I've never used that again in my life since I left high school or college. And we got to figure out how to get the right information that people need to change their lives right now today. And that's what the goal is for this day. Because guess what? When you look at the Q3 of 2023, the wealthiest 10% in the US, they own 66.6% of the total wealth. And we already talked about the bottom 50% only own 2.6%. So over 150 million people, they only own 2.6 collectively of the assets. And that's why we have this drastic wealth gap that continues to get worse and worse as we continue to go along. And right now, the cost of financial literacy, I think this is our last data point as we dive in, that it's $1,800 towards the cost of illiteracy, not knowing how to move forward with your finances, with putting together a plan for investing and understand what you need to do. And that's the problem where we are, because the numbers continue to increase. And as you go through that, it continues to get more drastic and more drastic when you start looking at the impact. And we got to change that. And everybody here is going to be changing it. And that's what the goal is, that we're walking through this week, is to solve this problem with everything that we're going to be doing, everything that I'm going to be teaching this week. Coach Christian is going to be coming through. He's going to be teaching Thursday night and talking about goal setting and diving into some strategies where we can move out on everything that we need to do to level up in 2024. Because we're right now in Q2. We got a little bit less than 9 months to go, and we're going to be making progress. One of the big problems with all this, when we start talking about financial literacy, which is Financial Literacy Month here in April, the number one topic that they talk about is saving. Investing is when you look at right here, just the credit donkey as the source, is like they don't even talk about investing at all, but it's all about saving money and your checking account and saving account. You can't save your way to wealth. You have to invest. You have to invest in stocks, bonds, companies, start your own business, invest in real estate, assets that are going to give you passive income, assets that gives you tax advantages that you can leverage to augment your active income and lower your tax bracket. You have to have an overall strategy, because I think I made a post the other day and talked about it, because guess what? If you don't have a tax strategy, the IRS has one for you already. and go look at the IRS tax code, and they're gonna tell you, hey, you're making this much money, we're taking this much from you off the top. And the thing is, they take your money before you even get your paycheck. They're already deducting it before you even get paid. They take your money. But guess what? As a business owner, you don't pay Uncle Sam his money till the following year, and you can actually file an extension and drag it out a little bit further. And so that's the difference with how they treat business owners and how they treat W-2 employees and the normal taxpayer. And so the more we get more informed, we can build strategies around our life and around everything that we're doing to help us hit our goals. And because guess what? Now we know where we're going. And so that's the thing, because at the end of the day, the top 1%, they know this information. They have advisors. They have it passed down from generation to generation on the information on how to move forward. They have the estate planning vehicles, the trust, the wills, everything that you need in order to hand it down in the most efficient way without having to pay taxes on a lot of your money as it transfers hands. And this information, we got to get it out there. And so that's what it's all about, because at the end of the day, they don't teach this stuff in school, and we got to get it from somewhere. And that's why I'm here tonight. That's why you're here tonight. And that's why we have the REI Genius mission, where we focus on real estate, entrepreneurship, and investing, and help everybody tap into their internal genius, because we all have that genius potential in us if we hone that skill and continue to grow it. But before we dive in, I want you guys to kind of know what to expect. I want you guys to participate, engage in everything. We'll be asking questions when we go through some of the examples. I want you to come in with a growth mindset. Embrace the new ideas and strategies. When you see the big numbers, I don't want you getting scared and saying, man, I can't do this. I can't talk about $1 million property. Yes, you can. Yes, you can. We just bought a 20 unit back in December with 100% financing on that deal. And it was $1.1 million. And the thing is, you got to know that it is possible for you. You can do it. I want you guys to be engaged with the discussion, the exercises. Don't be shy. We're family. We all rocking with each other to this week. Get to know somebody. It's all about, one of the things we're going to look at doing more in-person events, because you got to build your network. One of the things that we're going to talk about this week is your network. That in the Facebook group, we're posting, we're doing the assignments each day. Meet somebody new. You shouldn't leave this week without meeting somebody new, because it's whatever it is that you're looking for right now is somebody that you don't know that has it. I'll say that again. Whatever it is that you're looking for in your business, your real estate investing, your networking, you're raising capital, whatever it is somebody that you don't know right now that has it. Because guess what? We look at the wealth, and there's plenty of money out here. That's the thing. It's like, now, how do we become resourceful and stop focusing on the resources that we don't have, focus on what we do have, and look at how we become resourceful to take it to the next level. And then commit to action. Because the thing is, I want you guys to move out at the end of this week. You're going to have everything you need laid out in order to put your path, your strategy in action to move towards financial and time freedom. But guess what? It's going to take work. It's going to take commitment. But at the end of the day, it's going to be worth it. Pay the cost today where you can pay any cost in the future. All right. So at this point, just go ahead. If you're those that got the worksheets, go ahead and get those out, or your notes where we can get going, and we're going to get rolling. All right. So you guys can come off. Let me move over here where I can see everybody's face while I'm sharing the screen. But tell me what you think. Kind of go through. I want you to do an honest assessment on the scale of 1 to 5. Tell kind of where you are on the spectrum, and whether 1 if you strongly disagree, or number 5 if you strongly agree. I see challenges as opportunities for personal growth. I might ask somebody to come off and share, but be honest with yourself right now. 1 to 5. How do you see challenges as an opportunity for personal growth? Number 2, I actively seek feedback and view criticism as an opportunity for improvement. We're going somewhere, because the thing is, we want to look at these things that we see that come up time in and time out, and we got to understand how are we showing up for ourselves and how are we showing up in the world. I set specific, measurable, and achievable goals for myself. When's the last time you set a goal, you wrote it down, you followed up on it, and you actually tracked your performance to achieve it? I celebrate both small and large achievements in my life. Lastly, I actively seek opportunities to learn and adapt to new situations. I know that's going to be more than one, because you guys are here tonight. So look at those 5, give you a few seconds to kind of think through. All right. So now go through, add your points up. So if you ended up at 5 to 15 points, it says a low success mindset, and you can see kind of the layout right there, and kind of where it leaves you. That you can focus, you should consider probably focus on building resilience and embracing challenges as opportunities. If you're kind of middle of the pack there, 16 to 25 points. You got a moderate success mindset. Um, Identify specific areas with lower scores and work on enhancing those aspects of your success mindset. And then the last one there, 26 to 35, high success mindset. Reflects a strong success mindset. You demonstrate a positive attitude toward challenges, effective goal setting habits, and a willingness to learn and adapt. Continue fostering these traits for continued growth. How did everybody do? Was anybody there on the lower end? We're all family. No, you won't have any judgment from anybody. Anybody feel like sharing where they are?
I like to share, Johnny, so I get
Come
it
on, come
going.
on.
Definitely I go with the mindset of, fives and all those things and things that I do. Measure, especially with the measurable, I show my kids, hey, I'm going to do this. And then when it happens, I said, this is what, these are the steps that it took. So that's a
That's
regular
awesome.
thing. Yeah. And that's more in my sports and acting life, but I'm trying to, put it in my commercial real estate life.
Okay, okay. No, 100%. No, I definitely appreciate you sharing that, Seth. And that's the thing. And Seth, what's your occupation background?
I'm retired from law enforcement and I'm currently an actor and do a number of things and with pro sports, things like that.
Yep, most definitely. And that's the thing that I found with like military, law enforcement, like the resilience mindset, the focus and on like goal setting and that because it's really ingrained in what you do on a day-to-day basis in those jobs. And so if you excel in those type of careers, they lend you to be able to step into business and being able to move forward and have a success-oriented mindset. No, I definitely appreciate you sharing that. Um, Charles Swindoll. I'm convinced that life is 10% what happens to me, 90% how I react to it. And so with you, we are in charge of our attitudes. Life sucks. Life happens to us. The unexpected happens. We lose loved ones. We lose deals. We have a business plan for a deal and it goes sideways. Something happens that was unexpected. It's going to happen. It comes with it. But the piece that we have to understand is we must remain resilient because that is part of the process. And I think as Mike Tyson has the quote that everybody has a plan until they get punched in the face. Because life is going to punch you in the face. All we can do is remain flexible. In the Air Force, we say flexibility is the key to air power. And that's why we're the world's greatest Air Force, because you have to remain flexible. You have to foster leaders at the lowest level where people are informed and they feel confident enough to make decisions. And so that's the thing that we have to maintain a positive attitude and move forward because we can't get bogged down because I love for those that don't know my testimony and just being a follower of Christ that I'm really big on the Bible and it says that as we move through the valley of the shadow of death we won't fear no evil, and the big thing is we're moving through the valley, we're not stopping, we can't get bogged down when bad stuff happens, that we have to continue to keep moving forward and keep that positive attitude and know that if it's not working for us, it's working on us and we're moving out. Whatever the mind can conceive and believe, it can achieve. Napoleon Hill, write this book down with your notes. Think and Grow Rich. This is one on the reading list that we have in our book club. But this is one. I think Napoleon Hill wrote this book like it was around 1930 time frame. And it's still relevant today. Think and Grow Rich. And whatever, and it's really, really focused on the thinking, the belief. Tony Robbins says that success is 80% psychological and 20% skill. Like when you start talking about the blocking and tackling the foundations of building wealth, it's really simple. It's fifth grade math. We're adding, subtracting, multiplying, dividing. That's really about it. But it's the mindset, how we show up, the resilience, not quitting, remaining consistent with whatever we're doing in order for us to help us find the success. And so it goes into, seeing an opportunity instead of a problem, having admiration for life instead of jealousy or someone else's success, seeing something as a lesson instead of a difficulty, making it worthwhile instead of looking at something as being too hard, or looking for feedback instead of criticism, and then looking to seek to find out instead of saying that you don't know. And that's one of the words that I tell my kids they can't say is try. Try and can't. Because I'm like, what do you mean you're going to try to do something? Well, I hope I can do it. It's like, no, it has no hope. And I think with Shannon Sharp's like, hope, who is Hope? Hope was a girl I went to high school with. It's like, you don't tell me about you hope you're going to do something. But it really goes to your mindset and how you approach it and the words that you say, and how you show up in your life that really, really makes a difference on you being able to achieve whatever it is. And so this is one of those things, I hope things work out versus saying I'm committed to taking the proactive steps and embracing those challenges as opportunities for growth to achieve whatever. You fill the blank. You understand whatever it means. You may need to focus on your business. You may need to focus on your W-2 job, the job that you have right now to get a promotion, to increase your pay, your salary. Or you may need to pick up more assets to build more passive income. But understanding whatever it is, what you think, and whatever you need to focus on to do it. And then why is this important? It sets the foundation for achieving goals and overcoming the obstacles. Because we already said and agreed that they're coming. But now we have a framework on how we can move forward to keep that positivity. We find the right community. And there's other things that we can do to foster this growth mindset, this success mindset, and shift that perspective on how we can embrace that transformation that we're going to bring on into our lives. One of the big things as we continue to go through is having that positive attitude, embracing the challenge. I can't do this changes into I'm determined to find a way to overcome blank and achieve my goals. Focusing on growth. The glass is half full instead of being half empty, and then remaining resilient through all of this with that determination and using failures as stepping stones. Because I guarantee you, if you've been successful at surviving this far, you've overcome every setback that you faced already in your life, then you're already successful. And I tell my clients as I coach them that success is something that's measured backwards. Like you being better than you were a year ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, that's success. It's not about, hey, I want 100 units or 1,000 units 10 years from now. No, success is being able to say, look in the mirror and say, I'm better than I was yesterday, a year ago, 5 years, 10 years ago, and I'm continuing to improve. That each and every one of you are already successful right now in your own right, with everything that you've already been able to achieve. Right here, success is walking from failure to failure with no loss of enthusiasm. You know, I can't remember who had the quote, but they was pretty much saying that the life of an entrepreneur is like getting punched. It's saying you getting punched in the face and then you're walking around like everything's okay. It's like, you know, you're taking shots, you're getting beat up. And I know the saying just in the church and growing up was, you know, thank the Lord I don't look like what I've been through. Because I know that's my testimony, because like you go through some stuff to get to your stuff. And like so many people, they fall to the wayside. They don't go through, they let life beat them down, and life wins because they give up. And the thing is like you got to continue to go embrace the failure and move through it with the same enthusiasm, because guess what? You know that the brighter day is coming, and it's always darkest before the dawn, and you can't quit, and you got to keep moving forward. So this is one, as we kind of transition into some of the execution piece, I want to just kind of tee this question up and kind of maybe get one or two people to participate. But how do you guys kind of view failure? Do you view it? Have you viewed it always kind of as a negative thing? I know, like a lot of times you get trained and you eventually start picking up like, okay, this just happened. This happened. It's a negative event. But how can I change in my positive thinking? Because I know I wasn't always positive when it came to negative events happening in my life. That you know, losing my mom, that was one that was tough, that really, really shook me, that I'm still evolving and going through, that you learn how to manage. But the biggest thing is being able to have the system, the people around you that can help you get over the hump when bad things happen, when it goes through, and make that choice. But has anybody else had any failures or setbacks in life they had to deal with, and adversity they had to overcome?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think we've all had failures, but one of the biggest things is to try to walk away with, not try, because that's not the word we want to use, but walk away from that failure with a lesson, right? because life is, we have failures, but that's also how we learn to get to the next level as well. So you have to look at, what can I take from this situation that either will prevent me from making that mistake again, or, having not necessarily the right association or the right relationship. How can I build from that failure and grow and learn from it?
No, 100%, 100%. What were you saying, David? Thank you for that, Leslie.
No, I was just, she said it perfectly well. Failures are lessons. I think I look at failure differently now than I did, in my 20s and 30s. I have a different perspective. I try to keep an open mind, knowing that I have another day ahead of me. So a lesson learned, another day to live and learn from that lesson and, try to strive through it. So I just look at it differently, and I keep good perspective and open mind to it.
No, for sure, for sure. And I think that's the thing that we have to realize, because we're continuously growing. He's like, I hadn't always looked at it, but now I know. And so I think that's the thing that we have to continue to position ourselves and being able to lean on our past events that we've overcome, and knowing that we can move forward with anything that comes in front of us, and just focusing on changing how we think. And that's how we grow. We got to continue to grow. No, I love it. I love it. Thank you all for sharing that. Kind of looking at the next step, kind of going through with limiting beliefs. This is a big one that go back to looking at for those in the workbook, kind of looking at these. So we got five areas to look at with limiting beliefs. I'll tell y'all as we go through. My biggest limiting belief that I had, when this real estate side of it, was the raising capital piece, and thinking I'm begging people for money versus raising money and presenting an opportunity. And we'll talk about that. But this is a big one, limiting beliefs. I believe that challenging and reframing negative thoughts is essential for overcoming limiting beliefs. Like when I first started, I didn't even think about that. Like it was just bad stuff was happening. I didn't even really think about how am I showing up? How am I holding my own self back with my thinking? Number two, I regularly seek feedback as a means of overcoming challenges and improving myself. This is when the Lord had to work on me. I was like, man, I don't want to hear nothing negative that somebody's talking about and people hating and, they ain't sincere and all that. Like that was a growth area, because you want to get that feedback, because if people not telling you, you could be walking like we call it, the emperor's walking with no clothes on. I was like, somebody got to tell the boss that it ain't all roses and rainbows down here. But so that's the thing you got to get. You got to get that honest feedback. Number three, I view setbacks as opportunities to learn and grow rather than insurmountable obstacles. I surround myself with a supportive network of individuals who inspire and motivate me. I celebrate both small and big achievements in my life. That's one I had to work on as well, too, with the achievements and celebrating the wins that, you get not necessarily numb, but I'll tell you, for those that are really focused on growth, it's like you got this big audacious goal, and the little accomplishments that's building up to get there. A lot of times you don't stop and smell the roses and celebrate the success. And so that's one that I continue to work on and kind of take in those victories. But yeah, go through right kind of 1 through 5, identify where you are on the scale. And we'll give you a few seconds to kind of do that. And then we'll tally up the scores as we continue to go through and kind of look at those where your responses fall. And because getting over limiting beliefs is one of the big areas. We talked about it's 80% psychology, like your mindset and your ability to kind of have a positive perspective on things is critical to being able to make this stuff happen for you. And you can see here just on the point structure, just how it all lays out in regards to, the low end that you need to probably consider exploring strategies to challenge your negative thoughts. It's like, hey, money doesn't grow on trees. That was when it was always taught. And time is money. Like, no, that's one that was completely ingrained. Like, time is money. Like, no, time is infinitely more important than money. Because guess what? If I told you I was going to give you $1 million, but you have to lose your life tomorrow, you wouldn't take that $1 million, because guess what? Time is more important than money. And so, but we kind of understand that. At the same time, we don't live our lives like that, because guess what? If you had $1 million in the bank and I said, hey, you got this illness If you pay $1 million, that it's going to guarantee you will live 30 years and you will be healed completely. Who wouldn't pay that $1 million if they had it to get that cure? You would. And so that's the thing that we have to realize is like those limited beliefs, thinking time is money, it holds us back when we realize that the wealthy, they know that time is the most valuable thing. They'll easily and greatly trade money for more, to buy time, to buy somebody else's time, to buy employees to execute the business for them, to buy their time back. And so that's the thing we have to start living, like the information we already know, that time is way more important than any type of money that we can get, because we can always get more money, but we can't get any more time back once it's expended. And so the next step, kind of looking at there, you've got room for improvement in adopting more proactive approaches of defeating limiting beliefs. 16 to 20, your responses indicate a strong recognition of the importance of overcoming limiting beliefs. And you probably have a positive growth-oriented mindset. Then 21 to 25, hey, you're smoking hot. You're outstanding, high scores, keep up the good work. Hey, maintain a supportive network, celebrate your achievements, and keep up the positive mindset. Let's go. That's who you want on your team. That's who you want in the alley with you at night. That's who you want in the foxhole with you that's fighting. Somebody that's locked in and they know what they want out of life. And guess what? They're going to help you get what you want out of life. And that's what we're all about with REI Genius, with the community, is building that out. So here's some more insights on overcoming limiting beliefs. I'm not good enough to succeed. I'm continually learning and growing, and my skills and abilities are improving every day. I am fully capable of achieving success in blank through dedication and perseverance. Like, I've heard people, with just one-on-one coaching sessions that told me they didn't think that they were worthy of success. Like, they didn't think they were good enough for finding success, for being successful in real estate or whatever it may be. And so that's one of the biggest things that you have to realize is, like, we've all been through a lot, like with how the environments that we grew up in, the environments we may be in right now, but we have to figure out how to move past those things and focus in on understanding that, yes, we are worthy of wealth. We are worthy of financial freedom, of time freedom. And we just have to put the work in to go achieve it. And just having that can-do attitude with it all. Goal setting. Specific, measurable, achievable, relevant timeline. That's a whole 30-minute presentation in itself with the goal setting. And Coach Christian is going to break that down on Thursday a little bit more with setting you guys up with that. And then, but just being able to visualize with the visualization, for us having your vision board to reinforce those outcomes that you achieve. And everything from where, and I know you can go check my YouTube out. I have I think the last 2 years that we've done the vision board party where we recorded just going through and putting the vision board and just kind of walking you through that process to build a vision board out for your life. Kind of changing that phrase, I want to make more money this year, to make it really, really specific. In the next 12 months, I'm committed to striving to achieve robust financial health by consistently increasing income streams by X, diligently saving X, and investing X, and cultivating a sustainable financial plan. Like, you just lay it out, lay your goals out, write them out, and look at this every day. And guess what? Everything that you're doing today should be leading up to you becoming successful in hitting those goals. And if the task, the information, everything that you're doing isn't lending itself to be successful doing that, then you probably shouldn't be doing it. You should probably change what you're doing. This is one that I've taken with me and everything that I've done in life from my mom. But regardless if you're mopping floors or cleaning toilets, whatever you do in life, always do your best. That was the mindset that she instilled in me from when I was a kid. I don't even know what age. Like, it was always do your best. There's more to life. You got to get out of here. Because I grew up, country dirt road. We only had 3 lights in town. And it was real humble beginnings, but thank God for my mom, my dad. They knew that there was a whole nother life out there, and that they weren't going to let me squander my opportunities. That they know I had all the potential in the world to do it and to move out. And with that mindset of always doing your best and understanding, sometimes when you show up in the room, sometimes you're going to have to outwork everybody else 2 times and work 2 times as hard just to get the same amount of recognition. And I've seen those sacrifices, being underpaid, overqualified, and still underpaid, getting paid less than other men in the building, just dealing with everything else that comes with it, working 2 jobs. And it's like, how can I not go out here and give life my best when I seen the sacrifices directly to my parents and then grandparents and what they've done and they've been through. And the same story that we've all had, challenging environments growing up in, but we have to leverage that and use that as fuel to push us to our future success and continue to push us towards our greatness in everything that we end up doing. Viewing challenges as opportunities. I don't know if I can do this. It seems too hard. I'm determined to turn obstacles into opportunities, figure out ways that I can do whatever I need to do, fill in the blank and make things happen. Seek feedback and learn. This is always one that's uncomfortable. Like when people give you critical feedback, and just know it's to make you better, that you don't know what you don't know, that you need somebody covering your blind side, and you need to have somebody that you trust that can give you honest feedback where you can continue to move forward and execute on whatever it is that you're doing. And that's the thing we call it the wingman culture in the Air Force, where, hey, somebody's got your six, they got your back, and they're looking out for you. Who are you with? I'm going to keep trying on my own, or say this: I'm actively building a thriving success network by fostering meaningful connections, collaborating with like-minded folks, and leveraging diverse perspectives to propel my personal and professional growth by doing X. Like, you got to tap in, you got to continue to grow, you got to find the people around you to grow, because guess what? You are a sum or average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. If you're spending time with 5 millionaires, guess what? You're gonna probably be the 6th. And if you're spending time with 5 losers that's not going anywhere, you're gonna be the 6th loser. And it's just a matter of time, because guess what? Most environments are too impactful for one single individual to change the environment. Eventually, you're going to succumb to your environment. And so that's the thing that you got to go and realize, that if you're not in the right environment that's conducive to you as an entrepreneur, as an investor, as a family man, or as a family woman, or whatever it is that you want to be and whatever you see your life being in the future, then you got to change your environment. And that's the thing that you have to realize, the sooner the better. Mentorship is a great opportunity to leverage someone else's success and experiences, because guess what? We don't have enough time to make more mistakes, because guess what? There's a lot of people that have lived 20, 30 years, been there, done that, have found an achievement. Why wouldn't you go learn from those individuals and tap into all their mistakes and bypass those mistakes and go forward and be able to get success a whole lot faster? Because guess what? There's nothing new under the sun. The process is the process. And if you follow it, then that's wisdom, because wisdom comes from learning from other people's mistakes instead of you making your own mistakes. Because guess what? We don't have enough time to make our own mistakes going forward. And then lastly here, we jumped way too far. Staying curious and open-minded, flexibility in the face of change. I can't keep up with all the changes in my industry. It's overwhelming. To be able to see and how you figure out how you can thrive on these challenges, seek them out as opportunities, continue to grow your skill set and move forward. Because one of the things that we're talking about right now, artificial intelligence, like, it's going to take out a lot of jobs. Robotics, when you start looking at like a lot of the entry-level jobs, like with fast food, things like that, like I don't know how many of those jobs are still going to be here in the next 5 years. And that it behooves us to continue to grow, because school isn't keeping up fast enough. When you start looking at the degrees, I can even remember when I was going through electrical engineering in the early 2000s, that you would go through C++ with software coding, that by the time you graduated, come out of it, like it was a whole nother language. They would start talking about, hey, yeah, we learned C++, but this is Java and Python and these other coding languages. Like, okay, like, well, y'all didn't teach me that. That wasn't even on the curriculum for me to have to take to graduate. So like, oh, you got to go figure that out on your own out here. And so that's the thing, that we have to remain flexible in our approach and know that the world around us is changing, and we need to continue to evolve and move forward. For the sake of time, I'm not going to play that video. I'll send a link to that. That's a good one with ET. We're just talking about you needing to want success in your life as bad as you want to breathe. And a long story short, it was a young man that wanted to be successful. He found a older gentleman that had made millions, was really successful, and he told him that he wanted to be successful. So he told him, hey, show up at the beach 4 a.m. if you want to be successful, I know if you meet me there. So he met him, showed up in his suit, 4 a.m., and the guy's out there on the beach in some shorts. And he's like, man, what are you doing? He's like, hey, walk out in the water. He's like, what do you mean walk out in the water? He's like, I thought you was going to give me the secret to finding wealth. He's like, walk out the water. And then he's like, okay, cool. He's like, you crazy, but I'm going to listen to you and go out here. So he started walking, and then he eventually got the water up to his neck. And the waves started coming in, going over his head. And then eventually the man pulled him out. And the secret of it was, and what he wanted to share with the young man was, until you want success as bad as you want to breathe, that's when you're going to find it. When you're willing to sacrifice your sporting events, you're willing to sacrifice going to the club, you're willing to sacrifice Netflix or whatever it is that's taking up your time, when you're willing to sacrifice all those non-necessities to focus on what's most important in your life, that's when you're going to find whatever it is that you're looking for with it. 90% of all millionaires became so through owning real estate. Andrew Carnegie. Like, there's no secret. Like, there's so much. So people have so many different ways to invest in real estate and have an exposure because it's such a great hedge to inflation. Because guess what? Everybody that owned real estate in 2020 that owns it now, they've had at least a 30-40% appreciation in price. Just because real estate is a hedge to inflation. And you see all the hedge funds, when we printed all that money during COVID, you saw all the banks that they were getting money for 2 and 3% on Wall Street. They went and bought real estate. And that's what ran up. We ran out of supply because you had so many investment and hedge funds buying hundreds of homes at a time because they knew it was a hedge to inflation because we had low supply and they drove up the control of the inventory that now when you had all this demand with low interest rates trying to buy, that it forced prices up drastically, which was the same thing that happened in the early 80s when inflation hit. And history repeats itself. And that's why we have to get that knowledge and know kind of what's the next step. Warren Buffett, one of the richest men ever on the face of the earth. Real estate is the best investment for small savings. More money has been made in real estate than all industrial investments combined. Real estate is the basis of wealth. Like a lot of people have and hold this one of the assets because the thing is nobody just, that's a millionaire has got $1 million in cash or $1 billion in cash. Like, no, they're buying assets. They're buying stocks. They're being paid in stocks and bonds for the company. They're buying assets and putting their money into real estate that's paying passive income because it's taxless. And they can hand the assets down to their family and they don't have to worry about taxable events with owning these assets. And so that's the thing that you have to realize because income that you earn from working and actually trading your time for money is taxed the highest versus capital gains from stocks, from real estate is taxed way less, which allows you to grow your money faster versus the money that you're trading from working in a job and trading your time for money is taxed at the highest rate with the government. All right, financial freedom and real estate investing. So when we start talking about financial freedom and what that piece means, that it's all about being in control of your money so you can make choices without constantly worrying about the finances. And so that's the biggest thing that we have to realize. It's like everybody's strategy, their wealth building journey is going to be different. It's not going to look the same. And that's okay. Because guess what? You have to build the right strategy for yourself. Because there's some things when you start thinking about it, a lot of people think financial freedom is exclusive to the wealthy. It's not. It's achievable for everybody, regardless of the income level, regardless of how much money you make, that there's a way to get to financial freedom for yourself if you lay out the right strategy. You don't have to be debt free. Like, Dave Ramsey is a huge one, like pay down your house, no debt. The biggest thing that I can tell you is debt management is crucial. But total debt elimination, it isn't always required. Like there's ways to bring debt to properties, whereas that now you can come in with an equity position, you're getting cash flow. And over time, as the building goes up in appreciation, guess what? The bank who gave you an 80% loan, they're not tapping into that appreciation. All that appreciation goes to you, and you just pay what you originally borrowed from them. And so that's the thing where it's able to leverage debt with real estate that allows you to amplify your returns. And I give a scenario with one of my clients that and showed them how they could take $200,000 and buy an apartment building that's going to produce them the same amount of cash flow if they had $1 million in a 401k and they were taking with the 4 or 5% annual reduction that you can take out distribution, that 4% on $1 million, essentially you taking out $40,000 a year across 12 months, where, hey, you can go and use that 200,000 as a down payment and buy an apartment building that's going to give you $5,000 a month, which is going to be $60,000. So almost 50% more than what you would be able to take out the bank for $1 million. And so, and that's controlling an asset that produces income, that has tax advantages with bonus depreciation, and that you have the residents paying down the debt each month for you. And guess what? It's going up and appreciating in value. 10 years from now, it's going to be worth more. And it's paying you more than you just having $1 million just sitting in the bank that you're living off a retirement account. But that's how you can leverage debt and couple with real estate in order to build wealth. It's not about excessive spending. Like a lot of people, you see the jets and the yachts, and like some people, yeah, that's what their goal, that's what they aspire to do. But that's not necessarily tied to financial freedom. It's all about aligning your choices with goals and not indulging in everything you desire. It's like figuring out, hey, you can be financially free off $3,000 a month if you know what you're doing, and if you have the right goal and you don't have crazy expenses. And so it's all about building the right plan, the action plan for you, so you can find success however you want to define it. It's a continuous journey, not a destination. You have to fall in love with the process. We're in the process way longer than we are at the mountaintop, at the peak, once we achieve success, and figuring out how can we sustain our financial security and the demands on ongoing effort and adaptability. Like, you have to continue to evolve and continue to go forward. It's not a destination. It's a journey. It's a continuous journey. It's a striving for perfection, even though you know that you're never going to hit that perfection. And understand that, guess what? There are risks associated with real estate. High risk investments aren't necessary. The key is finding your risk tolerance where you are. The risk for someone 25 years old, their risk profile is going to be completely different than someone that's 65 years old. Just because they're in a different phase of investments, they're looking for wealth preservation versus wealth accumulation, so they can take more risk as a younger age because they got more time to make up for any setbacks or any issues that they run into where assets don't perform. But if you're 65, you can't risk all your nest egg in one deal, one property, because if it goes sideways, then now you're overexposed to risk in that area. So you got to have a balance. You got to have a balanced portfolio and diversify how you approach your overall investments. You don't have to sacrifice happiness. Like financial freedom, it should enrich your well-being. This is your life. This should pour into your life. Like a lot of people, they think money is going to give them happiness, or things like, if you're not happy as an individual when you're broke, you're not going to be happy with money, because we see too many people with money that's miserable. They are depressed. They commit suicide. They have a lot of other things that they seek and you think will come and be solved by having more money, by having more things. But the thing is, like, it's internal. Your happiness has to be internal. You have to have that internal source that's going to feed you. And now everything else is, you find that contentment in life. Whereas that if you have it, like it was Paul that said, hey, he's been shipwrecked, he's been in jail, he's been hungry, he's been full. You're like, hey, it is what it is. That's life. I'm content with it. And it's going to be good. And so that's the thing that we have to figure out, that financial freedom, it's a tool that it's going to help enrich our lives. And it shouldn't be a burden with how we're moving out with any of these things and what we're doing to build. So at the end of the day, it's like having the keys to life to live your way without having to stress about money. Like being able to cover your expenses with passive income, like that is the ultimate goal. And so at the same time, you're reducing expenses, but at the same time, you're increasing your income, where eventually you're building the life that you want to have. And it doesn't have to take a long time to get there either. And so that's the things for us. We talked about the power of real estate, but you just look at some of the metrics with home ownership being at 65%. The highest home ownership rate is in the Midwest, where it's a little bit cheaper. 26% of the market is first-time home buyers. One of the big things that you kind of focus on, you see that the third bullet top right, to the left, I'm sorry, third bullet, 78.9% of 65-year-olds and over owned homes in the second quarter 2023. 80% of 65-year-olds own homes. That is going to be the largest transition of wealth over the next 2 decades. As the baby boomers retire, they downsize, they go to live with relatives or assisted living, that 80% of them own real estate. All of them are going to have to sell that property. Like that, it's going to either transfer at death through probate, or it's going to transition and be sold as they downsize or they move on. And so being able to get good at working with this niche will change your life. And this is the key area that we focus on when you start looking at on the single family side. A lot of these individuals, baby boomers, they self-manage small apartments, which our niche is really 40 units and below. With my clients that I work with, it's like, how do we focus in? We built this avatar of baby boomers who self-manage apartments, and this is who we work with to create win-win situations. So that's why I want to just draw attention to that metric there, because that's huge, because there's a lot of real estate that's going to change hands as they get older and retire from being landlords that we really, really focus on. And you can see here, just for the median days on market, and then just the power here of building wealth. With buying the first year, buying 2 homes, buy a 3rd home in year 3, and then just sit back and let time do its thing. And you see the light blue is just your profit from just the rental income, and then you see the home equity in the dark blue that's building up. And you can see here with the value in 20 years of $1 million, and you just see that compounding effect that happens there with building wealth. And then just overall, we talked about the benefits of it. Generate passive income. You build equity over time. It's a hedge against inflation. It's a tangible asset. It appreciates in value. And I like the big thing. You got control. You can control. You can go in and look and see how to improve a property to increase the income. And you do this smartly with a great plan and building a solid foundation that you're going to build long-term stability and freedom in your life, guaranteed, if you do it right. And you don't quit and you stay committed to the process. And so we're going to roll into kind of some of the truths about it that, because a lot of people, one of the myths that they have is, we got to have a lot of money. I just talked about that, the 20 unit deal we did in December, that you didn't have to bring no money to the table. It was 100% owner financing. And so there's different strategy, different financing. You can bring partners in on the deal that have money, and you bring the deal to the table. And there's so many different ways that you can invest in real estate without actually you bringing all the money to the table and you owning 100%, that you have to be creative. You're only limited by your creativity. Real estate isn't entirely passive. That's one, even like with passive investment, it does take action. It does take some active management. It still takes, you weighing in and making decisions. One of the things that you have to do is hey, the stove went out. We got to spend $600 to buy a stove. They're send me a message and I have to answer that question. So okay, yep, go ahead, buy a stove. It's a no-brainer. But there's still some activity that happens. And so in order to build up to get to passive, a lot of times that you're going to have to step in and do the work on the front end in order to make the opportunity for passive income a reality. And so I think that's one of the biggest things that when you look at that, a lot of people think that, hey, I can just put my money in and walk away. But no, there's management challenges that you have to go through sometimes, and you got to be willing to be hands-on in order to make sure you're set up for long-term success. Not all real estate appreciates. Market conditions, maintenance affect depreciation. If you don't keep up with maintenance and your vacancy goes up and people start moving out, that's a problem. If the market, say, hey, you get over-flooded, like all of a sudden, where you have your apartment building, they just built 500 units right next door to you. Class A, and they're marketing the rent the same as what you are. If you got that much inventory that just opened up, then now that's probably going to push vacancies on your way, because people can go get new stuff for cheaper. Then you're going to have to drop your prices. And so market conditions can change. And so that's something that you have to look out and be cognizant of as you're looking at the entire real estate landscape for your local area. Flipping houses isn't easy money. I had a buddy of mine that's a mortgage broker was talking about flipping houses, where they're like, well, I'm like, flipping houses because you own it less than a year is considered earned income, just like you going to work. And so it's in the highest tax bracket for its highest tax. It's not taxed as capital gains. And it takes time, it takes effort and expertise. So you have to manage that and overlook the risk. And I teach clients how to do this flipping in person, and I still flip homes virtually, but it does come with challenges. You want to have the experience or have somebody on your team that are a consultant that has the experience to help you be successful, because there are risks involved. Location isn't everything. You can buy a crappy property in a great neighborhood, but you got to be able to know how much it's going to take to improve the property condition, and then understanding where you are in the market cycle at the same time, because all that matters as well. And then real estate isn't risk-free. That you have downturns. Right now, we're kind of in a downturn from transactions because of high interest rates, but prices haven't really went down a whole lot. You gotta understand the vacancies for your area, the regulations pose risks mitigated by diversification. Whereas that you don't have all your assets in one market. You may have a property in Florida, but you don't have all your property in Florida because a hurricane comes through and wipes out your whole portfolio. Now you have no income. So you may have assets in South Carolina, Alabama, different areas, different apartment complex, or different single families where you don't have all your eggs in one basket, so to speak. Living life on your own terms. So if you start looking at, just for the financial freedom piece, as we kind of wrap up and kind of go in, I'm going to lay out some of the commitments areas that I think will be worthwhile kind of as we wrap up tonight and kind of segue into tomorrow. That not having the finances in place, that, from surveys, that it provides a strain on people, that people it's increased the negative impact on mental health, with people where, just in the last years went from one quarter to the next quarter. People said they cried at least once in the last 3 months because of stress about money and just anxiety. And so the big thing is, like, 69% of Americans have less than $1,000 in savings. We talked about that. Like, that's a big deal. And like, I think a lot of divorces are caused by finances, that we got to figure this out. And so being able to increase your income, we're going to talk about some of those strategies and ways you can do it. The real estate investing, becoming an investor, because you start looking at the billionaires out there and just ordinary people, like, hey, they become millionaires by saving. 401k, not saving, by investing. And the more you're able to invest, guess what? The less that you eventually have to work, because your money is starting to work harder and harder for you and bringing in more money versus you trading time to bring in that capital. So at the end of the day, with being able to choose and live life on your own terms, that it gives you that flexibility to pursue your passions, spend time with loved ones, go on vacations, trips, get out and see God's earth that's out here that we've been blessed with, and start living it all on your own terms. And so that's what it's all about. Because I know a lot of people, like, that's the big thing, is like, hey, I know I wasn't put on this earth to be working 50, 60 hours a week. I make this money, but I don't even get to spend time with my family. And, one thing that really spoke to me, I don't know where I got the quote from, is like, the only people that are going to know all the sacrifices and all the overtime that you worked at your job is your kids. And like, it was like, wow. Once I heard that, it was like, it was a wrap. Like, you know what? I'm not burning no midnight oil. I'm not chasing no next or quarterly award or annual award or stratification. And it was like, what? Because at the end of the day, the only people that's going to miss out and know that I was here doing all this stuff is my kids. And then they're going to be, I miss their lives, and they're off to college and living their own life, and everything is too late. It's gone. And it's like, okay, because like with my job, it's like they're going to have my replacement before I even get out the door. And like, hey, they're going to send you off, give you a flag, a coin, pat you on the back, give you some cake. And then guess what? Before you even get out the gate, they're going to have your replacement in the meeting doing your job, and they're going to be it's going to be business as usual, next man up. And that's how it should be. Because, hey, it's an important mission, and they got the wheels keep going. But at the same time, you got to maintain that balance and know where you stand with all of this, and make sure that you keep what's number one. And for me, number one is my family, and pouring into them. But the thing is with it, that life comes with unexpected tragedies, experiences. You guys already know, like for me, and for those who may not know, in my book, and I talk about it, was like in 2018, I had went on the deployment. I found out my wife was pregnant like 3 weeks before I left for a 6-month deployment, and got back, on my way over there, had started, was cold calling, had hired a virtual assistant, and was ready to go. And as soon as I got back September, 3 weeks later, we got hit with Hurricane Michael. It was a Category 5 hurricane. that devastated Panama City, Florida. My son was born 5 days after the hurricane hit in Mobile, because we had to evacuate the area, and we hopped around Airbnb to Airbnb for 6 months with a newborn, with colic. That was a whole nother experience there. And we eventually got back in the house spring of 2019. And that year we did 12 deals. We kept some of them as rental properties and flipped the other ones. And it was awesome. But even before we even got started, we had 3 houses under contract in April of 2019. And then May 1st, I tore my ACL, popped it at PT at work, had surgery 30th of May. And guess what? I was on crutches, 3 weeks later, going to houses and projects. And we were still getting it going because life happens, emergencies happen, unexpected. And at the end of the day, you got to get going. I didn't even think about it. December of 2018, 2 months after the hurricane happened, my mom had a stroke. I was in Memphis at a Lakers game with some of my buddies, and that whole situation went down. So it was just like life happens. You have so much adversity that's going to happen. And it's like being able to withstand the pain and everything that happens in your life and having that resolve is going to be there. But that's the thing, like you got to have that peace of mind knowing how that you can handle those unexpected financial curveballs and what's coming your way. And like for me, with all that, with being displaced, like moving around with Airbnb to Airbnb, the military thankfully paid for it. They looked out for us with us not having housing and being impacted from the storm. They give you time to go and have family, but everybody's job and everybody's situation isn't like that. It was a lady in a podcast she was talking about that I just listened to this past week, that she was just talking about how she had her kid and she had less than $10,000 in her retirement account, because she was saying when she had her first child and the dad wasn't in the picture, and she said her job let her go because they didn't have maternity leave. And so she lost her job, had to tap into her retirement fund in order to float things for 3 or 4 months. She eventually found another job and going through. So like life be happening. And what they say, life be lifing. So that's the thing that we have to realize, that unexpected things happen, and being able to find that financial freedom, it helps us to be more and more resilient when things happen, because they're going to happen. Living life on your own terms, it allows you to empower individuals, build wealth, give back. We already talked about REI Genius. I met those 2 fine brothers there at University of Alabama. They do the annual commercial real estate conference in Birmingham. And they're going into the real estate school there. And so it was cool meeting them and being able to pour into them and let them know that, yes, you can buy real estate. You don't have to just be a broker. You don't just have to be an agent. That, hey, you can own these assets as well, put these deals together. And so it was really cool pouring into them. They actually knew me from LinkedIn. We had connected, but first time meeting in person, which was awesome. And let them know that, hey, you can be an investor too, and you can position yourself and grow well, plan for the future, and give back to your community all at the same time. And being able to go through and align with your values and long-term goals. And that's the biggest thing that we're doing with all this stuff, is like, you never know. You don't even know what you're capable of. You don't even know what opportunities are going to come before you and the people that you're going to be able to impact once you decide to take action, to continue to move forward, and to continue to start chasing your dreams and living your dreams. Because at the end of the day, you're going to be able to tap into those things. And what matters you the most is what's going to give you that resolve to kind of see things through and get there. And so I want you guys to kind of think about what you want the impact of your life. So I know we dove into the financial aspect of it and kind of get into the mindset, getting past some of those limiting beliefs and changing our perspective on adversity. But now I want you kind of to dive in to what it is that you want. So I want you guys to kind of, as you go through the worksheet, set those goals in some different areas. I laid out some different areas here kind of that lead to that financial freedom. But I want everybody to kind of aim to save and invest at least 20% of your income annually. So that's a goal. It may be 10%, 5%. Start somewhere, but think through, what's that number for you? I want you guys to kind of think through that one. Understand, how much do you need to be saving and investing of your income? How do you get to it? Figure it out and understand, hey, I want to start maybe 5% this year and then grow to 10% next year. It's going to be different for each and every one of you, which is okay. On the real estate investing side, I challenge you to plan to purchase and manage at least one rental property within the next 5 years. Who here thinks they could buy a rental property in 5 years? Anybody? Feel
I
free, you
do.
can come off mute. Okay.
I do.
Yes,
Yeah.
I do. We do.
Let's go.
Definitely.
All right, because guess what? For those that didn't say they feel like they can do it, you can do it too.
It's okay.
They put it out there in the universe and said it and spoke it. But I challenge you to step in, look at it, because I think you can do it too. Entrepreneurship. I think everybody should have a side business. You should be doing something that's going to bring in some additional income, because it's so easy, because we don't give ourselves credit with what we do for our jobs right now. You could easily be a consultant, and it's a little bit more risky working for yourself, of course. But guess what? It's an opportunity to diversify your income, to bring in another stream of income. And what if you picked up just 1 or 2 clients that you're working and bring in an extra $2,000 a month? It's something that's money that you can put towards investing to continue to grow, where now you eventually step out of your main job and you can do this full time as a consultant as you build up your passive income, your portfolio. But look at how you could launch a business within the next 2 years, aim to diversify your revenue stream. And how much do you want that target to be to generate your first year? It's definitely doable. Something to think about. Aim to diversify your passive income sources to generate at least X per month within the next year. Think about what you need to do passive income. Some are different positions. You may have a previous employer 401k that you may move to a self-directed IRA where you can go buy real estate that's going to fuel your retirement account. Or you may be taking distribution like, hey, I'm going to go buy an apartment to bring in passive income. And now that's going to bring in enough passive income to set us up for retirement where we don't have to worry about working anymore. Because people are living longer. And guess what? That money, if you haven't been saving for retirement, that money isn't going to go that far. And so that's the thing that we have to work through and understand. How do we build up passive income? And if you're on the younger side and you got more time in front of you, definitely want to start building the passive income up now, because you're going to reap all those benefits in your later years. So think about, what's that passive income number for you that you can start getting to and get working towards in the next year. Education and skills development. Allocate at least 5% of your income towards ongoing education and professional development annually. Get out, network, meetups in your city, your local real estate investor. Get some of the national conference that's happening in Orlando, Las Vegas, Atlanta, different areas. I know there's all kind of conferences, whatever you want to get into, where you can get out, meet other investors. Look at joining communities like REI Genius, where you have entrepreneurs, you got real estate investors, people that's looking to grow, people that's seeking out professional development, that's doing deals, that's operating, they're active in an industry that you're serious about. Look and see how you can get out and find these individuals in your local area, but then maybe also outside your local area. Meetup.com is a great one. There's other areas as well too, other platforms where you can meet people and do that. Set a goal to reduce your monthly expenses by at least 10% or less over the next 6 months. So that's something to look at. Expenses. Like, I'm all about, you can cut your expenses, but I'm more so really, really, really passionate about how can I increase my income. I want to reduce my expenses a little bit, but guess what? I have an infinite amount of opportunity and ceiling to increase your income, because you can go out here and build $1 billion business, but you only can cut your expenses so far. But if you go out here and work on becoming better at your skill, growing your skill set, like, there's an infinite amount of money that you can make, capital that you can make. And so increasing your income is going to be one of the best things that you can do. And one of the best investments that you can do is investing in yourself on how you can increase that income to move the bottom line to get to that financial freedom. And moving from there, okay, we're thinking here. Let my computer catch up. But one of the things there is you definitely want to look at, how can I increase the income and move forward with reducing the expenses? Because guess what? Henry Ford said it best: whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right at the end of the day. So you either say you can do it, or you're going to say that you can't do it. You're going to be right. And so that's what we want to do, that we want to speak that positivity of ourselves and understanding. So that's kind of the wrap up for day one, Unlocking the Wealth. We're kind of going through in the Facebook group. Definitely, I want you guys to share your top financial freedom goal and share one objective, from tonight that you're going to set for yourself for the boot camp, what you want to walk away from, and introduce yourself. Whereas that you never know who's in your market, who's in your same area, where you guys can collaborate, you can meet, because I'm a true believer that iron sharpens iron, and you want to be around like-minded people that's going to help push you. And so then tomorrow night, we're diving in. We're getting into the meat and potatoes. We're talking about the fundamentals of real estate investing. And so we're going to be digging into that and how to go through. We're going to do a real estate market overview. We're going to talk about the different real estate investments, and then we're going to actually get into some financial analysis of real estate. We actually go and do a little bit of adding and subtracting, multiplying, dividing, and kind of show you some ways with some metrics at a high level that you should think about as an investor, where you can do kind of quick back of the envelope calculations on making sure that you're making a good investment. So with that, that is all for night one. I appreciate you guys. Definitely do the homework, drop that in the Facebook group, meet somebody, and I will see you guys tomorrow. And then for those that may want to rewatch the training, it should be in the I think it's actually going to be on my timeline on the Facebook page. You'll get it there, and I think we'll save it on Vimeo and upload it on the in the Facebook group as well too. So check it out there. We'll have it where it'll be readily accessible. And I'll see you guys tomorrow night.